It's a big shot, a very big shot indeed from Tendulkar. One bounce, 4 over extra cover.
Tendulkar's popularity in India is unprecedented, but despite the enormous pressure, he retains his humility and dignity.
Back home in India, it's a little difficult to move around freely. People love the sport and the sportsmen, so it gets a little difficult. You don't have your privacy. Well, that's a price one has to pay for it. But looking at the other side of the coin, I feel, it's the love and the good wishes which, when you go on the ground, you have 100,000 people cheering for you, praying for your success. That it does help, and it means a lot to me.
Over a long time, he's been under scrutiny, under the spotlight, and you can never really look back and say he's done anything wrong. So he's dealt with it particularly well.
Oh, he's like a god in this country. I mean, he's treated like a god, and he behaves like a god as well, literally, because a person with so much of expectations, with so much of pressure on his head, you never see him lose his temper. As I said, like he would, if anybody wants to get photographed with him, he'll never say no.
He is the absolute king. I mean, he rules that country, I think. He's just the love and the passion for the game of cricket in India. It's remarkable that it hasn't gone to his head. I mean, he is such a humble person, so down to earth, and again, got time for most people. I would hate to be in his shoes. Just from that side where the pressure on his time and lack of privacy in the country that he lives, it must be pure, really a test of his character. But he's come through. I've never seen him have an outburst on the field against an opponent with his own team side, amongst the public. So he's a person who really he's kept his nose really clean, and I just think he's got a good heart.
Now in his 30s, Tendulkar's touch has barely deserted him, although he did go without a Test century between November 2002 and January 2004. Critics questioned whether he was still the master, still capable of dominating an attack. He answered the doubters with a typically belligerent, unbeaten 241 against the world champion Australians in Sydney.
He came out that day. He wasn't a guy who got big scores early in his career, but he started slowly. It was a flat pitch. Steve Waugh's last Test, big occasion, great player, big score.
Technically perfection, really. I enjoyed watching him bat when I played against him. I didn't want him to get too many when England were playing against him, but he did get runs against England, and you had to admire what you were watching as well, because he's just a brilliant technician. Longevity as well in a career, I mean, it is absolutely phenomenal. He probably started his Test career 5-6 years before me. He's going to finish his Test career 5-6 years after I've retired. And that sheer passion, physically, to keep yourself in good shape as well. The hunger and desire to keep scoring runs.
You've got to go by statistics to a large extent. You look at the players who have the averages over 50, and they are the greatest players, in not only statistically but in every sense of the word. And I think Tendulkar's statistics there just prove his value.
Brilliant. Charging over the top. How far has it gone? Has it gone far enough? It has, and Tendulkar has 100.
Sachin Tendulkar is the sort of modern Indian great. I wasn't entirely sure about him. I mean, I know Bradman, as soon as he saw him, phoned up his wife and said, and Bradman told me this himself, phoned up his wife and said, you've got to come and have a look at this, because I think this is what I might have looked like. And that in itself, was saying something, and that happened before I was convinced. Then I went and watched him play on some of the good wickets, and in particular I saw him play some innings in Sharjah, in one-day cricket, and he was just something else. I mean, they just couldn't bowl to him. No one could bowl to him. And he played every shot in the book. I mean, he didn't just play out that wonderful straight drive back past the onside of the stumps down the other end. He played every single shot in the book.
I set myself a lot of goals, but I keep it to myself. I don't usually speak out. but it's always nice to have targets. Sometimes you reach your target, you feel happy, you want to better it. If you don't reach your target, the next time you try harder. And if you surpass your target, you want to try and score more and more runs. So eventually it boils down to scoring more and more runs the next time you go in. I think there is always scope for improvement, and one is never satisfied with what you've achieved in life. You want to try and get more out of it, and that's the same case with me. I mean, I want to try and score as many runs as possible, and try and be as solid as possible and play good cricket.
Tendulkar, tremendous cricketer, wonderful cricketer. I would come out on my bed any time to watch him. He's great. I mean, you just look at his record. You know, he loves playing. He loves the game. And he knows what he represents. He knows he represents his people really well, and his team, and the game of itself.
By general consensus, he is still one of the best batsmen in the game today, and is amongst the top 4 specialist bats of all time. He remains cricket's most popular player, particularly on the subcontinent. We celebrate him amongst ESPN's legends of cricket.